Today we're going to be going over the basics of Google Docs. We're going to be looking at a student copy of a final draft. We're going to go into suggest mode. We're going to suggest a footnote. We're going to add a comment and tag a reader on it. We're going to look at some share options, and then we're going to look at some extras that you can play with Docs with charts and drawings. So the first thing we're going to do is open our Docs. The way to open Docs just from a Google home screen is to click on the Google Apps icon at the top. You'll see Docs is one of my top apps. Again, you can move your apps around if you find that you use one more frequently or there's one lower that you want to move up. Now I already have my student final draft tab open, so I'm going to go ahead and click on it. This will bring me to my student final draft copy. And you can notice on here that this is an actual student's, and we're now taking a look at it and seeing how we can suggest and comment and edit through this. Now to go into our modes, we're currently in editing mode. What this means is anything I do will be done. And it's done. My student would never know if this happened. They would not be notified unless they read it. So I don't want to do that. I want to go to suggest mode. Now, suggest mode, what it allows me to do is if I want to delete something or add something, it makes a suggestion on the side. So the owner of the document would see that I've suggested to do something. They can either agree to this suggestion and accept it, or they can disagree and reject my suggestion. And when they do that, it takes it away. So what we're going to suggest for this first one is that we're going to suggest to add a footnote for this body paragraph 1 right here, because they're citing a book and an author who they've cited in their works cited, and we want to make it a footnote on page 1. So right up here, we're going to go to Insert, and we're going to look through and you're going to see footnote. Now there is a shortcut option. Depending on what type of computer you have, you can say Command or Control Option F depending on your computer. So I'm going to say Insert Footnote. Now what this is going to do, it's going to bring me to the page 2 where I had clicked. So I actually want to say undo. I want to click on or highlight the section that I want to be able to footnote, and then I want to say Insert. This will bring me to the bottom of my page, and it puts the footnote right at the side of the sentence that I had highlighted. So here, I'm actually going to copy and paste this. And actually, I could cut it, but I'm just going to copy it. And I'm going to paste it right up here in my footnote. So then what we see is it's still there in Works Cited. Now it has been inserted into the bottom of my page 1, so that a student could see it. Now I can also change anything within this copy, and it's not going to say anything on the side of my page that I've edited this footnote, because this is a new addition. Now if I go into the title and I make a suggestion here to capitalize my letters, it will show the suggestions on the side because I did not copy and paste this title in. So as I'm suggesting, if I'm copying and moving things around, the stuff that I move and copy and cut does not get extra suggestions on the side. It's just from where I took it and then where I'm editing. From here, I can add comments as well. So sometimes on the side, you'll see it's not registering when I'm in the center of my document. But if you slide your cursor to the right, you'll get a little comment sign. If you can't find it or you're stressing out, just go to the top and the comment option is up at the top. I'm going to slide to the right just a little bit and I'll see it pop up. I'm going to add a comment. Maybe I'll just say, great title. I now want to tag the reader. They will get this email. They will get this email when you're suggesting. So I don't necessarily need to tag them, but maybe I want to tag another teacher and I want to say, hey, take a look at this awesome title. If they're in the .org network with me, they can do that. So I'm actually just going to tag myself, my .org version. I'm going to assign it to myself to make sure I come and look at it. Cool. And assign. Now, this is asking me, since I'm in a different network, can they comment? And for this, I'm going to say yes. So, got it. Okay. Now, it's going to still send it because I've given my permission. And it will remain there until this person comes and sees it. Now, your share options when you're within a Google Doc, if you click the share icon at the top, you'll get the general, easy access, kind of compact version of share options. And this is where you could type in anyone's email and be able to share, hopefully within a network or a friendly network if it's been assigned by your admin. So here I can share with Beth at Concordian.org, and I can change my share option to edit, comment, or view. So view only would take away my whole control bar or toolbar up at the top. If I want them to only comment, it takes that away and only gives them the comment options. For edit, that means they could go in and they could go into suggesting mode, or they could literally change anything and it wouldn't notify me. You can give them a message, hey, and tell them specifically what you want them to look at or do or why you're sending this. And then it will send that message. If you go into advanced, if you've already shared it with certain people, you can now turn off or set an expiration date or change ownership within this document. Now, I don't want to do that, so I want to go ahead and click out and say cancel. I'm just going to say done for now. Another thing that you can do with your Google Docs is inserting charts for layouts or for worksheets that you're wanting to have done. Now, for charts, I'm going to go ahead and click over to my example computer shortcuts poster. I've messed with my page setup on this one. I've changed it to paper size A3 because I know I'm wanting to print this as a poster. I've changed all my margins so that I can use as much of the document space as possible. And I'm going to say OK. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can just get a pretty good idea of what's happening here. Now, I've added a title, and what I've done is I've actually added this title in Google Drawings. So if I click Edit, it'll take me to the little window for drawings. But the way I did this was I went to Insert, and I went to Drawing. Once I click on this, if I click Edit here, this is the window that will pop up when you want to add a drawing. Now, why use this? Well, the reason I wanted to use this is because when I was typing this just in the document by itself, the spacing was off in between these two sections, and it made the rest of my document off. So what I did here is I inserted one text box, and I typed in computer shortcuts. In this next text box, I moved it up closer to the top one. So I can press Command Z, undo that really quick. I also inserted a picture. So this command, if I move this text box over, oops, undo. If I move this text box over, you'll see that this is actually a picture. Now, I took this picture from my screen. I just took a quick screenshot. On my computer, that's Command-Shift-4, and it gives me a little icon that looks like this, a little crosshair. And I took a screenshot or a section of this symbol, which is on a Mac keyboard for Command. I inserted the picture here by clicking on Image. And when I do this, I can upload and I can choose an image, or I can search for it on Google by URL if I know the web address. It can be on my drive, or I can just simply search all of Google. So I could say Command icon for Apple. And there it is. So I don't even have to take a screenshot necessarily if I want the specific symbol. And I could click this and it will insert it to my drawing. Once it loads, I can control the size. But I don't want to do that because I already have my picture in. Now, the reason I did this is because I can't type it, but also I can now mess with my spacing and make it perfect for how I want. So now that I have this title, this header, played with in drawing, below it, click off really quick, below it I've inserted a table. So I put my cursor behind, I went to insert, up to table, and here's where you can control how many spaces you want. Well, I knew I only wanted 2 columns, and I wanted to come down and I wanted to do several rows. You can insert or delete or add columns or rows once the table is made. So I don't want this big, so I'm going to go ahead and click off. So if I wanted to insert a column, I could insert a column to the left or to the right of this current column if I realize I want to change my format. It automatically adds it. I'm going to click undo. I can also go down to the bottom, and if I remember that, oh, I really wanted to add my another row, there's another shortcut I want to teach, I can insert a row below or above, depending on how I want to change the order. Now within this table, I'm wanting to make sure that I have enough space with getting it onto one page. So you kind of have to play with either your fonts or the sizing to get it to that just right place. But this is similar to previous word processors. So be willing to play with it. Be willing to test and mess up and say undo, undo, or Control Z or Command Z if you're wanting to undo. And be willing to play. Hope that helps with docs. Enjoy.